So I'd like to start off by making this clear that how to explain daylight savings time, because I was informed that some people don't know exactly how that all works. But basically, once a year we switch to daylight savings time, and we switch our clocks 1 hour forward, which is called spring forward. And basically, a lot of people claim that they don't like it because they lose an hour of sleep, but in reality, eventually they get used to it and then end up, it's not a huge deal to them anymore. So basically, my claim is that we should be on daylight savings time year-round instead of just the 8 months that we are now. And so, basically, there's a few things that are good about this. One of the main reasons, people enjoy sunlight more than nighttime for the most part. So being, like when you get off work, it's a lot nicer to have more daylight instead of, well, for instance, during daylight savings time at the beginning of July, the sun sets at 8:10 p.m. versus standard time at the end of December, the sun sets at 4:45 p.m. So for those 4 months of the year, the daylight is shorter overall, but the way we shift our clocks backwards an hour, it makes it so that it does the opposite effect of what the other time change does. So we end up having the sunset way earlier in the day, and it throws off a lot of people when we switch to daylight savings time because of that. And then another reason, more factual, more important stuff, year-round daylight savings time would promote safety. Studies show that longer daylight hours decrease crime on average because most crime is committed when it's dark outside. So shifting our clocks forward an hour, basically so that the sun sets later, allows a little bit less crime to happen throughout the day. Also, driving in the daylight after work or school is also safer. A lot of studies that I was reading about showed that as well. And then eliminating the time change, so just staying on daylight savings year-round would decrease workplace accidents, mainly because people wouldn't be out of it. It would only decrease it on like the couple following days after you switch to daylight savings, because right now people aren't used to it when they do switch. So being consistent with it, you wouldn't have people that are so out of it for those couple days past daylight savings. And then year-round daylight savings time would also be better for the economy because when people get off work, they tend to, if it's still daylight outside, they go shopping, they go spend money, they drive around, buy things like that. That helps the economy out a little bit. Also, it would also, because of the way things are right now, when we switch back to standard time, there's a decrease in sales because it gets dark earlier in the day. So staying on daylight savings time would basically help get rid of that decrease in sales because it would still be daylight out for later in the day when people get off work. So, and then the last supporting claim, year-round daylight savings would promote active and healthy lifestyles because people tend to engage in more outdoor activities. With the extra sunlight, they like to do things after work. They like to work out, go on hikes, things like that, walks. When it's dark outside, people tend to just go home, watch TV, things like that, because they don't want to be out when it's dark out. And then lastly, consistent sleep. This one's kind of not sure how much this would actually help, but the following couple days after the switch to daylight savings right now the way it is, there's like a 10% increase in heart attacks because of, I guess, people not being used to these new sleep hours. So having a consistent sleep schedule year-round would, I guess, help that out maybe, but that would probably need a little bit more research to be totally sure on. But basically, that's about it. So.
All right, Cole, the proposition is phrased as a policy claim rather than a claim of fact. That's problematic. There's no layout of what the supporting structure is going to be at the beginning of the speech. I think that's an issue also, because it's a lot easier for us to follow and listen to what you're arguing if we know kind of how you're going to get to the end point. The explanation of some of the controversy and trying to eliminate the confusion about what happens with daylight savings time, that's okay. I do think that you need to do a little bit more to suggest that there are reasons why people take a position one way or the other. It's very generic, some of the things that you're saying here. Now, I did see 5 supporting points, which is an awful lot to have in a short period of time, one of which is, really kind of a value claim that people enjoy the sunlight more. I'm not exactly sure that that's a justification that I would call an issue of fact. The question about safety issues, that's pretty good. The issue about the benefit to the economy, healthy lifestyles, I think would definitely work. And the consistent sleep patterns, I'm not exactly sure what that ends up meaning in the long run because it doesn't get explained. The problem with all of this is there's no evidence on any of it. It's all asserted. You don't give me a single source citation. The only statistic I got was that there's a 10% increase in heart attacks, and I'm going, well, wait a second. Where's that come from? You say studies claim that with increased daylight, there's less crime. I don't know what studies you're referring to. You said you read a lot of stuff talking about what happens on driving. I'm glad you read it, but I didn't hear it in the speech. So as far as I know, there's no evidence to support those positions. That is the big drawback in the presentation. The issue, I think, could easily be phrased as a claim of fact that there are advantages to having year-round daylight savings time, that those advantages include decreased risk of accidents, improvement in the economy, and long-term health benefits. I think that would be an easy way to summarize the 5 claims into 3, make it a little bit simpler, get rid of the first one and subsume the 4th or the 5th one into the 4th one and make a single claim there, because that's basically the same kind of issue. But you still need to get data into the argument. All right, thank you.